this is why home court matters. This is why you can't have off day. This is why we can't be 11th in the league in defense, right? Like, we got to get to at least middle of the pack, all of those different things. And so as a competitor, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to coach generational talents, and that outweighs the other stuff that we might have to deal with.
Yeah. Well, you two...
Get ready for a shocker. Stephanie White drops a jaw-dropping forecast for Caitlin Clark's future. And what she reveals could alter your expectations for the season ahead. Are you prepared for what's coming?
But I think laying the foundation for this is what we have to do to compete at a championship level. Yeah. Like, this is why home court matters. This is why you can't have off day. This is why we can't be 11th in the league in defense, right? Like, we got to get to at least middle of the pack, all of those different things. And so as a competitor, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to coach generational talent.
Stephanie White, a seasoned basketball analyst and a tactical WNBA coach, has never been one to hold back when discussing the sport's brightest stars. Recently, she dropped a series of bombshell insights about Caitlin Clark, the standout player whose meteoric rise has captivated fans and analysts alike.
While pushing her to be her best and challenging her to step outside of her comfort zone on the floor. I have the advantage of I was an opponent, right? And so scouting her and this is what we try to do to make you uncomfortable. This is how we've game planned for you. And again, being that straight shooter, like, okay, like these are the areas that we need to improve. And putting those pieces together while also thinking about the holistic version of this team that we have, who is incredibly gifted on the offensive end of the floor.
White didn't mince words, describing Clark as a generational talent, a label reserved for players who redefine the game and leave a lasting impact on basketball's history.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, when you think about Caitlin Clark and a generational talent, and the sometimes overlooked Kelsey Mitchell, who's been like one of the hardest workers that I've ever seen from the time I was covering her at Big Ten Network, watching her at Ohio State. And then Aaliyah Boston, who, prior to Caitlin Clark coming on the scene, was another generational talent and is, right? Like, so it's like you think about the pieces that we have and putting that all together. I hope, number one, for Caitlin, that I can be a resource. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the same stuff that she has on a global scale. Mm-hmm. Thankfully we didn't have social media at the time, which amplifies everything. But I've been through it on a smaller scale. And so hopefully I can help her navigate, some of the...
From the outset, White's admiration for Clark's abilities was evident. Caitlin Clark is not just good, she's phenomenal, White declared. Her court vision, scoring prowess, and leadership qualities set her apart from her peers. Indeed, Clark's statistics back up White's claim.
Multiple bodies, it's everybody's bigger, faster, stronger in the W. So there's an adjustment period for every rookie coming into this league. It's going to be playing tendencies, trying to send her into analytically where her weaker areas on the floor are, make things difficult. But look, this is a really good young Indiana Fever team. They've got a lot of strong pieces around her. There is no substitute for experience. So where they're starting the season is going to look much different than where they will be at the end of the season.
She highlighted Clark's intangibles, her competitive spirit, basketball IQ, and innate ability to elevate her team's performance. But it's not just Clark's current skills that excite White. It's her potential for growth. White emphasized that Clark is still at the beginning of her journey, and the upcoming season could be pivotal in shaping her future. A significant part of this evolution will be the team Clark is set to work with, a topic White tackled with equal enthusiasm and intrigue. Understanding who Caitlin Clark will be surrounded by this season is crucial, White noted. Basketball is a team sport, and even the most talented players rely on the synergy with their teammates to succeed. This season, Clark's supporting ensemble consists of a blend of seasoned pros and up-and-coming talent, each contributing special talents. White noted that this dynamic might either highlight Clark's advantages or create new difficulties for her to overcome. The rapport between Clark and her teammates is one of the important elements that White talked about. According to White, chemistry isn't built overnight. It calls for patience, mutual respect, and an awareness of one another's responsibilities. This season, Clark will be under pressure to lead a cohesive team that can compete at the top levels and perform well on his own.
It's interesting revisiting past comments Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White made about each other, knowing what we know now. Because it's been clear all along, I guess, in retrospect, that there was mutual love and respect between the pair. Coach White had said that Clark was going to be the player who adapted the best to the WNBA coming out of college. She defended Caitlin Clark from early season WNBA struggles. Meanwhile, Clark, who faced White's team in her first WNBA game, called her a great basketball mind.
What stands out this season is the stark contrast between Stephanie White's approach to Caitlin Clark and that of Christy Sides last season. This difference is not just a shift in coaching styles, but a transformation in how Clark's potential and contributions are perceived and nurtured. Last season, Christy Sides' tenure was marked by a highly critical stance towards Caitlin Clark, even as Clark shouldered much of the team's success. Clark, who was in her first year and coming off a taxing schedule without a proper break, found herself under immense scrutiny from Sides. Despite her phenomenal performances and evident leadership on the court, Sides maintained a rigorous and often harsh assessment of Clark's game. This critical outlook might have stemmed from Sides' demand for excellence, but it often overshadowed Clark's remarkable achievements and placed undue pressure on the young player.
You see that. Rumored rift between Caitlin Clark and Christy Sides may have sparked Fever coaching shakeup. Look, there's not a chance in the pit of hell that they didn't sit down and have a conversation with Caitlin Clark. Of course they did. And I'm talking about the front office, the owner, about her opinion on the coach.
Clark's first year was a trial by fire, yet she emerged as a beacon of hope for the team, demonstrating resilience and an unparalleled ability to perform under pressure. Sides' relentless critiques, however, cast a shadow over Clark's otherwise stellar season. The lack of recognition for her sacrifices and contributions was evident, and it painted a picture of a player striving for greatness with little respite or acknowledgement from her coach. But this season, Stephanie White and the narrative around Caitlin Clark take a dramatic turn. White's approach is a breath of fresh air, one that celebrates Clark's passion for the game and fuels her growth.
With Locked On Basketball, folks, I don't think I've heard her speak more glowingly about Caitlin Clark a day in my life. We can add up every single compliment Christy Sides has given Caitlin Clark in her pregame interviews, in her postgame interviews, following the draft, before the draft. We can add up all of those compliments, and it still won't equal the amount of praise that Christy Sides finally decided to heap on Caitlin Clark. Finally!
Caitlin Clark's response to this shift has been nothing short of spectacular. She has embraced White's guidance, showing signs of even greater potential as she honed her craft with renewed vigor and confidence. The contrast between Christy Sides' critical oversight and Stephanie White's insightful mentorship is what defines this season. White's ability to connect with Caitlin Clark on a deeper level, understanding her passion and drive, is setting the stage for a season where Clark is not only expected to perform, but to thrive. This difference in coaching styles could very well be the catalyst for Caitlin Clark's evolution into one of the greatest players of her generation. Stephanie White, a revered figure in basketball, has always had a keen eye for talent and an unparalleled ability to analyze the game. Her recent comments on Caitlin Clark have sent ripples through the basketball community, underscoring just how impactful Clark has been, not only for college basketball, but also for the future of the WNBA. White's admiration for Clark's skills is evident.
Against a team that did better than really anybody else going against Caitlin Clark. Part of that was personnel, as she mentioned. When you got DeWanna Bonner and you have Alyssa Thomas and you have Dejanay Carrington, you're much more equipped for defending anybody, right? Like, that was the DNA of the Connecticut Sun. So I think the hope is that Stephanie White can bring some of that DNA over to the Fever, And they're going to have to, like some of defense's effort, some of it is personnel. So they may have to make some personnel moves in order for that to fully come to fruition.
Caitlin Clark has been a sensation since she first stepped onto the court. Her ability to score from virtually anywhere, coupled with her court vision and playmaking skills, has made her a nightmare for opposing teams. She's not just a prolific scorer, but a complete player who elevates the performance of her teammates. Her impact on the game is reminiscent of some of the greatest players in basketball history, and she's drawn comparisons to legends who have redefined the sport. White's question, "How can you defend a player like Caitlin Clark?" is more than just praise. It's a challenge to coaches and players alike. Clark is a special threat on the court because of her range, speed, and intelligence. Whether it's a quick drive to the hoop, a long three-pointer, or a precise assist that puts her teammates up for an easy basket, defenders are frequently left fumbling to predict her next play. Beyond her accomplishments in statistics, Clark has a significant impact.
At our disposal. So, and it's I don't know how any college team really can prepare for a Caitlin Clark, because you can't do it with one person.
Yeah.
You can't do it one-on-one, right? Like it is a whole 5-man team effort. So let me just preface all that before you go.
She has turned into a role model for young athletes, proving that passion, hard effort, and dedication can shatter stereotypes and establish new benchmarks in the sport. Her presence in college basketball has significantly increased viewership and fan engagement, drawing attention to women's sports in ways that are reshaping the landscape. The anticipation of her eventual transition to the WNBA is already generating excitement, with many believing she could be a transformative figure in the league.
You guys offer her a bag to come join you guys?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's just so crazy because the growth that Caitlin has brought to the game, the sheer amount of money that she's making these teams, people are having to move their venues for when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75,000.
Stephanie White's insights highlight the broader implications of Clark's game. Her statement points to a future where defensive strategies will need to evolve to contain players of Clark's caliber. It also suggests that Clark's influence will push other players to elevate their game, fostering a more competitive and dynamic environment in women's basketball. The challenge of defending Caitlin Clark is not just about her physical skills, but also her mental acuity. She reads defenses with a level of sophistication that belies her years, often staying several steps ahead of her opponents. This mental edge, combined with her physical prowess, creates a player who is not only difficult to defend, but also immensely entertaining to watch. White's remarks highlight the fact that Caitlin Clark is a revolutionary. Anyone facing her needs to pay attention and adjust to her skills on the court. The topic of how to defend her will become increasingly relevant as she improves and develops her game, pushing the brightest basketball minds to come up with fresh ideas and tactics.
I've never seen, I can't even say maybe Steph in his early years, but I've never seen a basketball player throw up threes like that and just be so accurate from that distance. I'm gonna give it to Kate. I'm gonna give it up to Caitlin Clark on that. You can't deny that. That's eye test. You don't have to be a basketball player. My mom don't watch a lick of basketball can watch Caitlin Clark and tell me that girl could.
The Indiana Fever players' excitement over Stephanie White's appointment as head coach was palpable, and it was a shift the team desperately needed. The buzz around the Fever locker room was immediate and infectious, with players openly expressing their enthusiasm for White's leadership. A sense of relief and anticipation was evident, signaling a fresh start and a promising direction for the team. Among the many voices celebrating White's return to the Fever, Caitlin Clark stood out. The star player took to Instagram almost immediately, posting about her excitement to work with White. Her post resonated with fans and teammates alike, highlighting the respect and admiration she already held for the new coach. Clark's enthusiasm wasn't just about the new management. It was about what White's presence represented for her role on the team and her future in the league. White's coaching style is known for its player-focused approach, which is a stark contrast to more critical, rigid coaching methods. This shift is particularly significant for Clark, who thrives under a system that allows her the freedom to play her natural game. White's approach promises to give Clark the latitude to excel in her role without the burden of excessive criticism or restrictive strategies.
When you think about the great point guards and post players that our game, not just our league, but our game has seen, they are going to go down in history as the greatest. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work with them. I'm excited about the opportunity that we have to build from those starting points and build out, and for the longevity that those two could have in Indiana, in Indianapolis, and hanging banners in this building. All of those things are so exciting. The future's really bright, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Under White's guidance, Clark won't have to juggle multiple roles on the court, a challenge that often diluted her impact in previous seasons. Instead, she can hone in on her strengths, knowing that White will create a supportive environment that maximizes her potential while also fostering a cohesive team dynamic. This new dynamic is not just beneficial for Clark, but for the entire Fever roster. With White at the helm, the team can expect a more balanced and dynamic system where each player's strengths are utilized effectively. This approach not only alleviates the pressure on Clark, but also elevates the performance of her teammates, creating a more harmonious and effective team on the court. In sum, the appointment of Stephanie White is a pivotal moment for the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. It's a fresh start that promises to bring out the best in Clark, while fostering a dynamic, supportive team environment. White's player-centric approach, combined with her strategic acumen, sets the stage for an exciting season ahead, where Clark can play with freedom and confidence, backed by a coach who believes in her potential.
I think it's really incredible, not just the offers that she's getting from multiple avenues, but the momentum that women's basketball has gotten heading out of the bubble, so to speak. The WNBA has continued with positive momentum. I think Caitlin Clark will choose the WNBA and the longevity of her career in the WNBA, but what an outstanding opportunity it is, and what an investment in women's sports.
Known for her tactical acumen and ability to motivate players, White's leadership is expected to breathe new life into the Fever, a team that has struggled to find its footing in recent seasons. With a roster brimming with young talent and experienced veterans, White's strategies could be the key to transforming the Fever into serious contenders this season. White's coaching philosophy emphasizes a balanced approach, focusing on both offensive versatility and defensive resilience. Her track record shows a deep understanding of player strengths, and she's known for fostering team cohesion. If she can harness the potential within the Fever's lineup, the team could very well surprise the league by making a deep playoff run. White's return also rekindles memories of her previous success with the Fever, including leading them to the WNBA Finals in 2015. Fans are eager to see if she can replicate and surpass that achievement with this current squad.
I got off the phone with Stephanie White this morning talking about this decision, and man, she was ecstatic. I was so happy for her because you could understand why this was needed for her in the first place. And it starts with proximity of location. It's not just starting with Fever. It's not with the Caitlin Clark madness. No, it's being as close as home as it.
Together, White's potential resurgence with the Indiana Fever and Clark's return to action promises a thrilling season ahead, keeping basketball enthusiasts on the edge of their seats. The excitement is palpable as both stories unfold, each with the potential to redefine the narrative of women's basketball this year. Could this season be the year Caitlin Clark redefines her legacy? If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.